Yes, question from the back.
Is there much of an effort with the groups that use models to use real data to improve the models?
There is some effort to use real data to improve the models. Real data is surprisingly hard to come by, right? It isn't just that you need real data on the building. You need a data set with real data on consumption, and then all of the model inputs for the same data set. So let's say that you have a computer modeling system, and let's say that it has 20 inputs of things that you put into the model. To continuously improve your model, you need a set of audits that are done against your input. So it actually turns out that it is not an inexpensive or easy task to refine these models. Some models are better than others. But every modeling data set that I've seen, even ones that on average do quite well, are often incredibly unfair to specific buildings. So let's just say, for example, that you install an innovative motor on your air conditioning unit. You know, relative, they've invented one, you put it in, and it cuts your air conditioning bill in half. Well, the model doesn't have a checkbox for new innovative motor that cuts AC bill in half. So your modeled results don't change. So you stop looking for an innovative motor because you're trying to get a good modeled score. So the models almost inevitably tell you that there's an upside to how far you can go, even though that's not true. And that what you need to do is put in more insulation and new windows. Because those tend to be the two things in the model that you remotely have some control over. And they say to employees and children, there's nothing you can do. You're out of the equation. And therefore, when you have a company or a restaurant or an office building or a family, and you're trying to motivate people to do something, they look at it and they go, well, we were born a D, and Dad, if you spend money on insulation and windows, we'll be a C. And you have trouble then rallying the company to a process, or your family, of the continuous improvement and the hard work that it takes to turn a D building or a D- building into an A building or a B building. And it's possible for almost all buildings in America that are down in the bottom 40% to get themselves into the top 40%. There's some architects that believe that virtually every building in America could get into the top 20% of where the buildings are today. I'm maybe not quite sure that we can go that far, but we can certainly get almost every building that's in the bottom half of the class into the top half of the class with diligent work. Yes?
I might have missed it, but did you conclude that U.S. or Europe was winning that?
So we have sort of one system used in Europe, and we have hundreds of systems used in the U.S. So New York has leapfrogged everyone.
Okay.
New York has enacted a law that looks like it's just going to clean up compared to what everyone else has done. DC and New York have essentially done the same thing. No one else has had other than DC, the courage to do what Bloomberg has said, and that is, we're going to disclose how much energy every building in this city uses, and we're going to put it on the website. And may the best building manager win. And you can do whatever. It's not quite true. There are some things that are in addition to that. But the caricature would be, may the best person win. Go for it and see what you can do on your utility.
And one other thing I noticed in your book, it says satellite and cable set-top boxes are an energy waster. Is that if they're turned off? What happens if they're off when you're not watching TV?
So the question is, what about set-top boxes? So the standard Sony DirecTV set-top box, very cute's been sold for almost a decade. Uses 18 watts when it is turned on and 17 watts when it's turned off.
Yes? The New York model.
Yes.
If if that were to go other places, the first thing, I know you said it's a variety of things, but the first thing I would think of is that a business would find that their competitors would learn too much about them. And that would make them not want to do this.
So the question is, if your energy consumption per square foot or your EnergyStar score were disclosed as it is in New York, your competitors would learn too much about you. So I think that for some classified facilities, that's legitimate, and maybe a few engineering facilities, you could play that card. I think there's some instances where it's voluntary disclosure, but at the end of the day, has McDonald's really given up anything if we know how much electricity a McDonald's uses? I mean, get real. I mean, you know, it's like, there may be a lot of reasons for secrecy, but we know how big it is. We know what they pay in property taxes. We know the calorie count of everything on the menu. We know what they pay their employees. How much of a trade secret could the energy intensity per square foot be? The people who don't want to disclose it are people that are either frightened or have frighteningly large energy footprints. It's not because they're afraid that they're in the top 10%, and if they disclose how well they're doing, that everyone will copy their business practices. We want to know who's in the top 10%, and we want everyone to copy their business practices. If we've got 2 steak restaurants in town, and one is using 7 times as much energy as the other, very possible. Often there's a 7-fold delta between facilities doing the same thing. You want to know. You want the manager of the facility using 7 times as much energy. Today, he has no idea that he's got someone doing exactly the same thing down the street. So that's, I think we should move on to the next speaker, and I'll be around later to handle more questions. Thank you.